What's good, YouTube? It's your boy TSO Sage and I'm back with another video. This video gonna be crazy, I'm not gonna lie. This video is gonna be crazy because the names in this video, let's just say we got some fan favorites, some of the best players in the game in this video. And fair enough, that's probably the case because I'm combining the power forward and small forward into just a general forwards video. But I have good reason for doing that. One, I don't have time to hear the, oh, he's a power forward, oh, he's a small forward shit. Like Jayson Tatum is technically a 3, but he plays the 4 for the Celtics, but who cares? 2, I'm not gonna lie, the power forward video is not gonna hit. It's really just a matter of who you think is better between Giannis and AD. Nobody else gives a shit about the other players for real. Call it selfish, but it's just true. Most of the people watching this video are casual. And even if you're not casual, just be honest with yourself for a second. There's a different level of interest between certain players. Like arguing about D. Mitch and Devin Booker, arguing about Russell Westbrook and Trae Young, or James Harden and Luka. You hear comparisons like that, you're not trying to hear, hey, who's better, Christian Wood or Kevin Love? Like we care, but not that much, if at all. And 3, most importantly, I have a bunch of video ideas that I can't do because I'm still doing the series. These top 10s are fun, but there's surely a contract. But moving on from that, one final disclaimer. Guys like Porzingis and Aldridge, I'm gonna put in the center video. Any big man that you can argue is either a power forward or a center, I'm just gonna put him in the center video. Because again, you could argue they're a center anyway, but more importantly, this pool's already stacked. But finally, with all that being said, if you guys like the video, don't forget to like the video and let's get right to it. To trigger you guys off the rip, coming in at number 10, we have Zion Williamson. Without a doubt, Zion has become one of the new fan favorites in the NBA. However, he definitely has his fair share of haters. As a result, putting Zion at 10 is gonna piss a lot of people off because he's too high, with the same amount of people pissed that he's too low. But I personally think this is the perfect spot for him. Zion's one of those players that can get a bucket whenever they want to due to pure genetics. This is basically a 6'6", 300-pound man with a 40-inch vertical. I'm not saying he's unstoppable or anything, but there's gonna be some plays in which no matter what you were gonna do, that 6'6", 300-pound man that's gonna jump over you, he was dunking that ball regardless. However, in major foreshadowing when I say this, outside of being really good at finishing inside the paint, like forget the top 10, there's probably 20 more forwards more skilled than Zion Williamson. And I gotta say it, but Zion's not always on the court. That seems to be something that's gonna change this season, but I probably doubt it, to be honest, because Zion's stamina is kind of dog shit. But with all those things being said, Zion is still really efficient with the ball. You could argue he's more dangerous off ball, and let's just be honest here, God blessed him with genetics. I just hope one day he gets more skill and he can be way more dangerous than he already is. Now, coming in at number 9, we have Chris Middleton. The least flashiest name of the group, but yet he's not the worst. And funny enough, offensively, he's like the polar opposite of Zion. There is no play only Chris Middleton can make, if that makes sense. But that doesn't mean he doesn't make a lot of plays. Middleton basically averaged a 50, 40, 90 last season, and although I'd prefer him to step up in the playoffs, as long as you're not pushing Chris Middleton to be the main scorer for your team, he's a hell of a second option. And he also plays above average defense. It's not much to say about Chris Middleton because he's Chris Middleton, but I think this is the best way I can word it so we can move on. Chris Middleton is one of those guys that can definitely win you a game unless you try to make him win you a game. And also, just look at him. I mean, we know why that face doesn't sell. But coming in at number 8, we have Brandon Ingram. Now, if Brandon Ingram had a 4 for 4, he might be the best player of all time. But even though he weighs the same amount as the PS5, which some of you wouldn't know about, he's still oddly enough a really good slasher. Like, he's really strong around the rim. He's also become a really underrated 3-point shooter, and he's one of the better playmakers on this list in general. Now, the issue with Brandon Ingram sucks, but it's just true. He's like a B to B plus at everything, but that also means he's not great at anything. Like, he can score, correct. He can play make, correct. He can defend, correct. But he does nothing at an elite level. Seriously, not one aspect of his game do I think he does at an elite level. Which again is still a hell of a player. It can get you paid, it can make you an all-star, and it can even get you on this list. But all of those things can only go so far if he's only good at everything. And by the way, again, he just needs to eat. Now, this is gonna scare the hell out of you. Coming in at number 7, we have Jayson Tatum. Again, just a friendly reminder, we are combining small forwards and power forwards in the same video. With that being said, Jayson Tatum kind of pisses me off because of the fact he's a Celtic. Because if he wasn't a Celtic, he'd be one of my favorite players in the league by a mile. This dude is one hell of a shot creator. In fact, he's one of the best in the league. He's also quite clearly the second best shooter on this list, if not third. And although I can't say he's one of the better defenders on this list, because trust me, the defense is about to get insane, he's without one of the better defenders in the NBA. And although 7 seems so low for him, trust me, Tatum is by far and wide better than everyone else I've mentioned on this list. But he's still at 7 for a reason. He could be a bit craftier around the rim. In fact, if Tatum was simply a better finisher in general, at that point he'd be a cheat code. However, and it sucks to say this, the biggest negative about Jayson Tatum is his intangibles. Tatum isn't a guy that will will you back in the game. Tatum isn't a guy that leads the team. And outside of the series against Philly, Tatum isn't going to be that guy that elevates his level of play in big moments. And all of these things I said are pretty much common knowledge. Pretty much every Celtics fan on the planet overrates Marcus Smart, and that's because he's literally the heart and soul of the team. Which I suppose is fine. There's been a couple of moments in which the best player on the team isn't the leader, but it's something to be said when your co-star is also the second guy they look towards. And then the third guy they look to is a struggling Kemba Walker. Combine that with the fact that there's a good argument Jaylen Brown outperformed you in the playoffs. Now, projection-wise, Tatum is probably going to be higher on this list because everything wrong with Tatum is a matter of time and experience. But I'm talking about today, so Tatum, that's tough. And coming in at number 6, I have Jimmy Butler. You know everything I said was wrong with Jason Tatum? Those are all Jimmy Butler's strengths. Now, I'm not gonna lie, in terms of pure talent, offensively, Tatum is just better than Jimmy Butler. Although the margin isn't as big as people try to portray it is, I wouldn't even really think twice about it. And hell, I could be playing imposter here. Even though defensively I think Jimmy is better, I don't think the defensive gap is as big as the offensive one. In other words, yes, Tatum is a better talent than Jimmy Butler. Not by a crazy amount or anything, but I do think Tatum is the better talent. But being able to perform when it counts is one of the most important things to me. And that's where it becomes night and day. While Tatum can even be a worse version of himself, Jimmy on the other hand can elevate his game so much that he's on par with anybody in the NBA. Players that on a normal basis are leagues above Jimmy Butler find themselves potentially getting outperformed by him. To me at least, that matters a lot. And considering the talent gap is so marginal, even though I do believe Tatum is the better talent, I'm taking Jimmy Butler. And in case you guys somehow thought I was Tatum hating or standing Jimmy Butler, hopefully this puts all that to rest, because number 5 is Giannis Antetokounmpo, a guy whose talent is leagues above Tatum and Jimmy Butler. But let me tell you something about a Kumpo here. He's a 6'11" freak with an anger issue for sure, but he's not skilled at basketball at all. Like, is he mad that he can't shoot? Mad that he has that broke ass post fade? Or is he mad that outside of a spin dunk, a Euro dunk, or a really strong layup, any half competent coach is gonna shut you down in the playoffs? Yeah, I'd be mad too. I'd be real mad. I get mad even talking about you how mad I'd be. Like, it is real life crazy that in the playoffs I prefer 2 people that's lower than you. And the only reason they're lower than you is because of the fact that you're just that much better talent-wise. But my God, if this doesn't change, I'll be the first motherfucker to do it. I'ma start ranking your ass low as shit. Like, I feel like I have to rank Giannis to a certain level because I don't want to disrespect him too bad. It's the unpopular thing to do. He's led one of the most statistical dominant teams in NBA history, a 2-time MVP winner, a Defensive Player of the Year winner. Hell, he won them both at the same damn time. But listen here, motherfucker, I don't care anymore. I really don't. I'm tired of this dude just being a no-show in the playoffs. And it's not even like he being a sellout on some playoff piece shit, or he's just not making the shots anymore and not getting the calls he wants on some James Harden shit. Nah, Giannis doesn't elevate his game in any way, shape, or form, but he's the same dude. But when you go against elite players and elite coaches, which you're gonna find in the playoffs, y'all that dunk, grr, none of that shit flying, boy. Imagine a coach being able to solo squad an MVP. And to give credit where it's due, in Giannis' final playoff game before he got hurt again and had to walk out, it looked like he was gonna go crazy. I know it's just one game, but hopefully it's a sign for better things to come. But for now, this is where Giannis is gonna be ranked, because there's literally no reason Chris Middleton has to outperform Giannis for the Bucks to really be favored in a playoff game. In fact, isn't the one win against Miami when Giannis went down? And then the Bucks still look good without him in game 5. Like, bro, tighten up, bro. Get good at basketball. What do you mean good at basketball? You have him ranked 5th. He's a DPOY MVP. What are you talking about? Figure it out, moron. And coming in at number 4, we have... Anyway, coming in at number 3, we have Dwayne Bacon. Why is he over Kawhi? Simply because I'm tired of people liking Kawhi Leonard. I just want a new king, bro. I don't know why. I just want a new king. And even though there's not too many Dwayne Bacon clutch moments, I'm just gonna put him here anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's more clutch than Kobe. Fuck it. And I know what you guys are thinking. Okay, but Dwayne Bacon didn't even make Finals MVP last season. Hell, he didn't even make it out the second round. Hell, he didn't even make the playoffs. Well, you're just not listening then. Stop being ignorant and listen to me 100%, because, dude, trust me, I want you to completely ignore Dwayne Bacon's performance. After all, it wasn't like Dwayne Bacon could have played any better. It really just came to the fact that Nicholas Batum couldn't hit big shots. The coaching, the owners, whatever the fuck you want to say, as long as it's not Dwayne Bacon's fault, we're good. Look, man, the Paul Prince's really good at basketball, alright? Could be a better playmaker and a better shooter in general, but it is what it is. He's still really good at basketball. And let me not be completely toxic. Even though the Warriors were nerfed in 2019, Kawhi still had one of the best playoff runs in NBA history. Easily one of the best defenders of all time, and he doesn't need to isolate all the time to create elite offense. But the problem comes when you start calling him the modern day Jordan. The problem comes when you start saying he's better than Kobe Bryant. Because I'm just gonna say it now, Kawhi is definitely a scorer without question, but it can definitely hit a higher level in terms of his overall scoring potency. Kawhi is a guy that you can trust to hit the big shot, and you can trust to consistently score around 25 to 30. But your legendary scorer and defender Kawhi Leonard, he isn't a guy that I expect to drop 40 or 50. Except in that Philly series, because oh my God, Kawhi was built different in that series, I'm not gonna lie. And I know some of you guys are like, okay, cool, but how is he 4? Like you said, he can still give you a good 25 to 30 and elevate his game in big moments. Well, for one, he almost was a first round exit, then blew a 3-1 lead having a subpar game 6 and a god-awful game game 2 and 7. And secondly, and most of y'all not gonna wanna hear this, but it's just true, he slipped a little defensively. Now, although it's probably due to his evolution as a scorer, therefore he gives less effort on defense, it's still slippage nonetheless. Kawhi is definitely a lockdown defender for sure, but he's no longer at that level where it's like, holy shit, pass the ball, Kawhi's on you. And lastly, if you're still not convinced that Kawhi being number 4, trust me, the next 3 names on this list, you'll at least understand. But I know I'm right, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, coming in at number 3, we have Anthony Davis. Champion Anthony Davis. Now, I'm gonna say it now, it could be a little hot take or whatever. In terms of scoring versatility and defense, Anthony Davis is your most well-rounded player in the NBA today. Has by far the best post game in the league. People are starting to wake up on it, but still, in my opinion, a grossly underrated mid-range game, because I don't think you can name 5 better mid-range shooters. He can hit the 3, even though he does need to improve on that. Apparently, Vogel wants him to shoot 5-6 a game. I don't think he's ready for that yet. And defensively, I know I just got done talking about Giannis and Kawhi Leonard, but this man AD might be the best in the league. The only major stride AD has to make is honestly his playmaking ability. And honestly, that's the only reason AD falls short on this list, because the conditions to make AD successful are astronomical, but if you get them accomplished, you have one of the best players in NBA history. AD quite literally needs an elite playmaker to be successful. Not in the sense of being good. Anthony Davis gonna be Anthony Davis regardless, but I'm talking about being successful, winning championships. He literally needs another person to play make the offense for him, which to me personally is the only reason you can argue Giannis and Kawhi over him. Because if you can get AD that playmaker, oh my god, just say goodbye. He's at worst the 3rd most unstoppable scorer on this list. Now, as far as the other 2 players that you can debate are better scorers than him, they're above him. And before I get to my number 2 and number 1, I know for a fact that ranking Giannis, Kawhi, and AD is always going to be a thing that's shuffled. So definitely let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. There was really no shot in hell you was number 2 or number 1. Because by far and wide, coming in at number 2, we have Kevin Durant. No disrespect to any other player that I've mentioned on this list so far. Hell, for basically 99.9% of the NBA, Kevin Durant is so clearly better than them, it's not even funny. He's evolved to, dare I say, an elite defender, which I don't think is a stretch at all. He has an elite handle in general, not an elite handle for a 7-foot guy. No, an elite handle in general. Don't compare him to Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving, and Steph Curry. Those motherfuckers is built different. They're all-time handles. But Kevin Durant's handle is certainly elite. And when it comes to scoring, we all know this. So I really get confused why people argue other players, but I guess I gotta say it again. Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. And I'm not saying one of the greatest as in, oh yeah, he's top 30, top 20. Nah, bruh. Name 5 better scorers than Kevin Durant. You probably can't do it. Some people even think he's the best scorer in NBA history, and that's not a hot take. This dude's efficiency is off the charts, and by definition of the word, dare I say, he's an underrated shooter. We all know Kevin Durant can shoot for sure. If you think KD can't shoot, you're an idiot. But when people be like, name your top 10 shooters of all time, people don't instantly think of Kevin Durant, and that right there is criminal. As far as what KD can do to improve his game, I don't know, I guess become a better passer. But me personally, I find that to be nitpicking. Because if Kevin Durant really was an elite passer, in terms of talent alone, you could argue he's the best at that point. But even without that, in terms of pure talent, there's not 10 better NBA players in history who are better at basketball than Kevin Durant. I fuck with AD tough. Giannis is a cool dude. Don't really mess with Kawhi, but stop comparing them to Kevin Durant. In fact, the only player that you can compare Kevin Durant to is LeBron James, who comes in at a number 1 spot. Happy birthday to the king. We got a ring. Look, man, outside of just being thankful for LeBron James winning us a ring, like how Kevin Durant is by far and wide 2nd on this list, it's not quite as equal, but it's also marginal that LeBron James is the best on this list. I mean, I'm not about to sit here for 2 minutes and argue about LeBron James. There's a reason why we argue Kevin Durant to be the greatest scorer of all time. We argue LeBron James to be the greatest player of all time. And even though Kevin Durant is substantially a better scorer than LeBron James, and yes, LeBron fans, it's pretty noticeable. LeBron James, when he really wants to be that guy, he up there too. Then he's arguably the greatest playmaker of all time, still playing at that level in terms of playmaking. For real, the only issue with LeBron James is the fact that sometimes he isn't LeBron James. Like in pretty much every game 1 of the playoffs last season, and several times throughout the regular season, I'll look at LeBron and be like, who the fuck is this guy? Like randomly, LeBron will just start playing weird. He'll start turning the ball over, shooting really stupid shots. And oh my god, the most triggering thing is when he just decides to go ghost mode. Like his impact goes from like a 99 to a 0. And although that's really annoying, the fact that I can pretty much memorize almost every time that's happened says a lot because it's a rarity. LeBron James is really good at basketball. Duh. And like I said, I'm not about to sit here and talk about LeBron James for 3 minutes or whatever, so we're just gonna move on to the honorable mentions. Not out of disrespect or anything, but it's the fact he's LeBron James. Like, what the fuck? But anyway, no, Bubba Warren didn't make the list. Sabonis is definitely that guy that everyone says is underrated. We know how good Sabonis is. He's just not on this level yet, and that's okay. Oh, Sage, where's Spicy P? You You read that name, right? Yeah, he's not making my list. And I don't know what it is, but long story short, I really don't think he's as good as people say he is. At all, actually. And no, it isn't based off of last season. Nah, I was never a fan of this dude. And if I did a top 50, it'd be scary how low I'd rank him. But I'm not gonna do that because I know for a fact it's YouTube and I'm not trying to hear, oh my God, you're just a spicy P hater. But I will admit, I don't think he's that good. And look, we already got 2 people that can't shoot on this list. I ain't had time for a third. DeMar DeRozan ain't make the cut. I count him as a 2 anyway, but he wasn't gonna make either list, so what's the point? But that's gonna do it for today's video. It's been your boy TSO Sage. If you guys like the video, like the video. If you like my content, subscribe. Why the fuck you watching my shit and you're not subscribed? And it's been your boy TSO